This is video number 32 in the playlist, which is devoted to 3D Experience CATIA, the generative shape design application. I would like to discuss the boundary icon, which appears in the ribbon for the generative shape design. If you select the transform tab, you get the boundary pull-up menu, and this is the icon that you want to discuss. Uh, Clicking on boundary will give you a dialog box, and it's fairly straightforward, except for for this pull-down menu that has to be looked at a bit more closely. So let me go ahead and create a surface first. On the horizontal plane, I will sketch. On purpose, I'll sketch a profile like this, a line, an arc that's tangent to it, and then close the line. Okay. So notice that there is a tangency here. I didn't make a tangent on purpose over there. But of course, this is all broken. Now, let's extrude this thing. So on the surface, I'm going to extrude it. And on purpose, I don't want to extrude it all the way from where the sketch is. So let me go up maybe 60 here. So it looks like. And then for the second limit, I put down negative 20. Because I want you to realize that there's something down here that's a sketch. As a matter of fact, let me make this thing a 120 and make this thing minus 50, okay? Because this thing down here is a sketch, okay? I can hide it, but I want to leave it the way it is, okay? So notice that this is an open section. As a matter of fact, if we make this thing maybe minus 90, you can see it better. Yeah, good. This is my sketch, and this is the surface that I create. All right. So let's go ahead and do transfer tab, boundary. I'll do several several cases depending on those options that we select. So boundary. Now notice that here there are different these options. So suppose I say none, none, and select the surface. What's going to happen is that it's going to look at the surface and it says there is boundary up here and there's boundary down below. And if I say okay, it's going to say, oh, these pieces are not connected to each other. Would you like to take all of them? Or, for example, you can take sub-element. Let me say keep only one sub-element using a near or far. I say okay. It says, all right. Now, where is the place that you want it to be near to? So if I select that top edge, see that? Top edge, it says near here, top edge. And I say, okay, it just keeps the top boundary. So if I hide the surface, there it is. It kept that. All right. So let me double click on this thing. If I say farthest from it, it'll keep the bottom one. You see that? Okay. So let me get rid of some of these things. Delete and delete. So I'm back to my surface. There we are. Okay, now let's click on the boundary again. We already tried none. Now we're going to go and do complete boundary. Okay, and select the entire surface. And once again, it looks at the top one. There's a top boundary. There's a bottom boundary. Now, notice there is these things that says what are the limits. So, for example, if I put the cursor here, right there, if I for limit 1, if I select this point, see that there's a point right at this corner. There's a point right at this corner. If I select that, it shows me an arrow pointing this way. Now, if you click on it, it goes to the arrow pointing that way. And if I go and select, for example, another point, let's hypothetically say this point, what it does, it takes the boundary going between on the top, because I selected it, between this point and that point. If I click on the arrow here, it just takes the inside piece and say, for example, okay. Now notice that I can hide the extrude and it shows you what it took. Okay, good. Let's try it again. Control Z, Control Z. Okay, let's try it again. So here is boundary, complete boundary, select the surface, and let's say I want to go between this point. See, the arrow is going that way, and this point. Hide it. It just takes that piece. All right. Control Z. All right. Now, click on boundary again. This time say point continuity. Point continuity. We already did the none, then the complete boundary, and point continuity. Select the surface. It takes all the boundaries. And point continuity means that if I select a point here, okay, notice the arrow going that way. It says any of this boundary that's connected point-wise to this point, do it. Okay? Notice that these are all connected point-wise to that. And I say, okay. You can also go to where you want to go. For example, you can go up to that location if you want, but sure, these two. Okay. But if you flip the arrow, it goes the other way. You can see that. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Let's try it again. Something else. Boundary. This time, I say tangent continuity. Okay. Okay, tangent continuity. So for the surface edge, I select the whole thing. Once again, it takes the top and the bottom. Now, I'm going to select this point as my limit. Make the arrow goes outward in this direction. You can see that. And for the second limit, I select, for example, this point. So in principle, it is supposed to take all the stuff that are attached to this point in the tangent direction. What is bothering me is that it also takes that piece. I'm really surprised that it takes this piece because these two are not tangent to each other. Okay, when I drew this thing, you can see that I made sure that these were tangent and these were not. So I'm not sure why that's happening, but something that's needs to be looked at, because I'm not sure, because these are not tangent. Anyway, so aside from the fact that there are these options and this issue that I could not resolve, but maybe let's do another problem here. Actually, let me delete all of these things to address this last issue. Let me delete this. Okay, let me go to my sketch. Okay, and in fact, what we're going to do, we're going to change that sketch to something very straightforward. So maybe a bunch of broken line. All right, exit, extrude it. There we are. Let's try it. Boundary. Oh no, sorry, not boundary. Transform. Boundary. Tangent continuity. Select the entire face. Now for limit, select this point and that point, but the arrow going in the other direction. Yeah, you see that? It takes this as the tangent, section with tangent continuity, which frankly speaking, I don't like, but I'm not sure why that's the case. All right, folks, have fun.